Hello and welcome. I am your digital anchor, powered by AI analysis, bringing you the latest updates on TsedAI news, where we monitor the shifting currents of power. Today, we are looking at a nation fracturing from within, while its leadership desperately looks outward. With the June 1st general election just days away, Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed is aggressively pushing to secure direct access to the Red Sea, projecting an image of constitutional order and regional power. But step outside the capital, and the reality is a heavily militarized state, unprecedented human rights violations, and the systematic elimination of the very movement that brought the current government to power. Over the last 2 years, the Prime Minister has framed direct access to the Red Sea as an existential matter for a country of roughly 140 million people. By leveraging a controversial memorandum of understanding with Somaliland and risking renewed conflict with Eritrea over the port of Assab, the federal government is aggressively pursuing maritime dominance. But this external ambition serves a dual purpose. It is a strategic geopolitical play, yes, but more importantly, it is a desperate attempt to unify a fractured populace through a shared nationalist goal, a distraction from the total collapse of security within Ethiopia's own borders. To understand this collapse, we must look at Oromia, the Prime Minister's political heartland, and now the epicenter of a brutal, multi-front shadow war. The civilian toll in this region is catastrophic. Recent reports detail mass displacement, gang rapes, and killings in zones like Walaga and Arsi. In the battle of narratives, the federal government consistently points the finger at the Oromo Liberation Army, designating them a terrorist group and blaming them for the atrocities, particularly those against minority Amhara communities. But the OLA vehemently denies this. OLA spokesperson Oda Tarbi has countered that the state is using the OLA as a scapegoat to cover for crimes committed by retreating government forces and allied militias. The OLA's ongoing demand is clear. They are calling for independent third-party international investigators to be allowed into Oromia. Which brings us to a critical question. If the Ethiopian state is so certain of the OLA's guilt, why does it maintain a strict information blackout? Why block independent human rights monitors from actually verifying the facts on the ground? This brings us to the core of the crisis. Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed did not just fail to deliver the democracy he promised in 2018. He weaponized the transition to dismantle the Oromo political and cultural leadership that put him in power. Consider the December 2021 Karrayyu massacre. State security forces abducted and executed 14 Karrayyu leaders, including the revered Abba Gada, Kadiro Hawasboru. This was not just a political killing. It was a direct assault on the Gada system, the indigenous democratic fabric of the Oromo people. It proved that any independent authority is viewed as a threat. Or consider the chilling assassination of Bate Urgessa in April 2024, an outspoken OLF political officer who endured years of arbitrary detention. He was taken from his hotel room in Meki and extrajudicially executed. While the regional government officially denied involvement, eyewitnesses and family members reported he was abducted by men in uniform driving a government security vehicle. Instead of launching a credible, independent investigation to find the real killers, authorities arrested 13 people, shockingly including Bates' own brother, who had spoken out to the media about the military's involvement. His murder sent an undeniable message. Legitimate, peaceful political opposition in Ethiopia is now a death sentence. And finally, consider Jawar Mohammed, The architect of the Kiru protests that forced the previous regime to concede power was jailed on terrorism charges and ultimately forced out of the country. Now, publishing memoirs from exile, the man who helped build the very stage the Prime Minister stands on is locked out of the nation's future. This is the backdrop for the upcoming June 1st election. While state media broadcasts preparations for a democratic milestone, the international community tells a different story. If you look at the current travel warnings from the United States, the UK, and Canada, a clear picture emerges. These foreign governments maintain severe do not travel advisories for almost the entirety of the country outside the capital. They explicitly warn citizens to avoid Amhara, Tigray, vast stretches of Oromia, and multiple border regions due to armed conflict, violent crime, and kidnappings. The international community effectively treats Addis Ababa as an isolated fortified bubble, while deeming the rest of the country an unpredictable war zone. Yet, despite these glaring warnings, there is a dangerous game of appeasement playing out on the global stage. Western nations, international financial institutions like the IMF, and foreign powers are largely pretending that Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed has things under control. But no nation is more critical to enabling this illusion than the United Arab Emirates. The UAE's massive financial injections, strategic investments, and critical military support, particularly the supply of drones used against insurgencies, provide the vital lifeline that keeps the Ethiopian government afloat. By bankrolling the Abiy Ahmed administration, the UAE secures its own geopolitical and commercial interests in the Red Sea and the Horn of Africa, allowing the Prime Minister to ignore the catastrophic internal fracturing of his own state. But ignoring the grave realities inside Ethiopia will not stabilize the geopolitics of the Horn of Africa. The opposite is true. The path the Prosperity Party is choosing is pushing the country towards severe balkanization. When a federal government relies on military force to suppress indigenous democratic systems, assassinates opposition figures, and alienates vast regions like Oromia, Amhara, and Tigray, it does not build power. It guarantees a massive, violent fracture. If this internal collapse is not addressed honestly and immediately, all of these overlapping crises will blow up. And when a nation of roughly 140 million people fractures, everyone, from neighboring countries to global shipping lanes, will pay a heavy price. Appeasement won't secure the Red Sea corridor. Only a peaceful, genuinely democratic Ethiopia, built on the inclusion of its diverse nations rather than their suppression, can anchor the Horn of Africa. How can a government conduct a legitimate, nationwide election when international intelligence says it isn't safe to drive an hour outside the capital? In regions like Oromia and Amhara, basic voting logistics are impossible. Where voting does happen, it will be under the barrel of a gun. This election is not a democratic mandate. It is a theatrical performance designed to appease international lenders and secure continued financial lifelines. You cannot vote your way out of a civil war, and you cannot build a regional empire when your own foundation is collapsing. The upcoming election is an attempt to project strength to the world, but the reality on the ground tells a different story. From the massacred cultural leaders to the exiled activists, the democratic promise of 2018 has been thoroughly dismantled. Now is the time to tell the honest truth about Ethiopia. The Prosperity Party is treating a symptom with a PR campaign while ignoring a disease that threatens to consume the entire region. Thank you for tuning in to TsedAI News. This episode of the Red Sea Corridor was researched and produced by TsedAI McBeeb. If you found this critical analysis valuable, please like this video, subscribe to our channel, and share your thoughts with us in the comments below. We will continue to track these developments as they unfold. I am your digital anchor, and we will see you next time.